Praise Yahuwah, brothers and sisters. Praise the Most High. It is so good to be with you again. I hope all is well with you, that you've been fighting good fights of belief in Yahuwah and his power to deliver, his faithfulness to us. I think about you a lot and how wonderful it would be to be with you. I've even thought about doing some live, but we probably never will, just because. But I think about you often, and I really hope that you're fighting a good fight of faith. And so I've started I guess I could call it a series called the Mighty Ones. A few weeks ago, I brought to our attention that we know that Yahuwah is the Almighty. But I know for me, I knew what we're told about principalities and powers of darkness, and I know all that is real, but didn't put it in perspective as what I am learning now, so that we can endure to the end, so that we can survive all the attacks that we find ourselves under from time to time. So this is another audio that would be included in that quote-unquote series of Mighty Ones. So if you'll just let me start out by reading a few verses that were read in the last, I think we did 2 of them already. And so I'm going to read these, and these will probably be read at the beginning of each one of the audios. Peradventure, someone is just tuning in for the first time and hearing these messages, and just to catch them up. And then also as a reminder to us. So, Shemot 20, and Aluah spoke all these words, saying, I am Yahuwah your Aluah, who has brought you out of the land of Mizraim, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other mighty ones before me. You shall not make unto you any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the Hashamayim above, or that is in the Haaretz beneath, or that is in the Mayim under Haaretz. You shall not bow down yourselves to them nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah your Aluah, am a possessive Aluah. So, he says you should have no other mighty ones before me. And then he also said not to make any graven image or any likeness of anything. Okay. Then we read in Ephesians 6, beginning with verse 10, finally, my brethren, be strong in Yahuwah and in the power of his might, his power, his valor, his strength, his force, his potency, his powerfulness. Not in all these other things we try to find strength in, but in him. Put on the whole armor of Aluah, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the evil one. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. 2 Corinthians 10, beginning with verse 3. For though we walk in the flesh, because right, we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. So when people are rising up against us and doing things, we got to remember it's the spirit that's driving them. Some evil mighty one is driving them. But oftentimes we look at the flesh, but it's that spirit that they have bowed down to and yielded to. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Aluah to the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations. The warfare, the battles in our minds. So the war starts in our mind, how we think about things. Okay? So casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of Aluah, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Yahuwah. Wa'ikar 26, verse 1, you shall make no idols, nor graven image, neither rear you up a standing image, neither shall you set up any image of stone in your land to bow down to it, for I am Yahuwah your Aluah. Wa'ikar 19, verse 4, turn not unto idols, nor make to yourselves molten gods. I am Yahuwah your Aluah. Okay. So Yahuwah is looking for a nation, building a nation of people. That's why a lot of times in the scriptures, we'll see where he talks about nations and nations and nations. These nations are ruled by mighty ones. He also is looking for a nation of people. His Ben came saying, I have come for the lost sheep of Yashrael, right? Those called by Father's name, those who know his voice, those who follow him, stand on what is written as righteousness, keeping the laws and the commandments, being led by his guiding principles, following his precepts and his ordinances. All that is how he rules his nation. Shemot 19, verse 3, and Musa went up to Aluah, and Yahuwah called him to come out to the mountain, saying, thus shall you say to the house of Yaakov, and tell the children of Yashrael, you have seen what I did unto the Mizrites, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure to me above all people, for all their Eretz is mine, and you shall be a kingdom of priests and a Kodash nation. That's what he is looking for. One audio I mentioned something about that, about us striving to be chosen to be citizens of his kingdom, his nation. Okay. So today we're going to be doing some reading out of the Book of Enoch or Enoch, to just paint a picture of who these mighty ones are. Beginning in chapter 6, verse 1, and it came to pass when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the ALAHYM, which are the mighty ones, the children of the Shamayim, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And this one name was his leader. So let me tell you, stop right there and say, I am not going to be saying their names because their names are not supposed to be on our lips. We're not supposed to speak their names. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause and say something regarding the name, but I won't say the name. And then in the description, it's quite a bit of information. I'm going to hopefully be able to put all that in the description for you, and you can see the names for yourself, or you can always go to Enoch yourself. This is chapter 6, then there's chapter 7, there's chapter 8 and chapter 9, chapter 10, chapter 69, and chapter 15 in Enoch. But I will put these names there for you. I'll try to put as much information as I can for you. So this one, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear you will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of this great transgression. And they all answered him and said, let us all swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual oath, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. So remember, so they're all planning to get wives and have children with them. So that in itself is saying, so they were going to multiply themselves, who they were. They each have an identity that is evil and wicked, and they wanted to multiply their way. Okay, we'll hear from Yahuwah in chapter 15 what he had to say about that. Okay, because they said they wanted to multiply, so they're doing this oath, a mutual oath upon it. And these are the names of their leaders. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And then the one that said that, who said he was their leader. So he was their leader and they are leaders. Okay. These are the chiefs of tens. So all of these that I just named, the 19, they're chiefs of tens. So there's 10 under each one of these 19. And then after that, there's more under them. Chapter 7. And all the others together with them took unto themselves wives, and each chose for themselves one. And they began to go into them and to defile themselves with them. And they taught them charms and enchantments and the cutting of roots, and made them acquainted with plants. And they became pregnant, and they bare great giants whose heights were 3,000 ells. And I looked that up, and I could not find a definition to convert it to our measurement system. But we know they were giants, so we know they were huge. Now they consumed all the assets of men. Everything man had, like he was gaining prosperity and was adding to what he had, they consumed it. And when men could no longer sustain them, the giants turned against them and devoured mankind. So they began eating men. And they began to transgress against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and devour one another's flesh and drink the blood. Then Haaretz, the earth, laid accusation against the lawless ones. You know, when I was reading this, I was wondering, I said, are we supposed to be eating meat? Because it says, then they began to transgress against birds and beasts and reptiles and fish, and devour one another's flesh. I'm like, are we? Are we supposed to be vegetarians? Just something to think about. I am not saying that, because then we know in the Brit Hadashah, Paul says to not let someone teach us not to eat meat. So I'm not saying we are not. I am saying, as always, if you have listened to enough of the audios that are on We Win, you know, I always say, take everything to Father. Take everything to Him. Let Him show, because He is glad to make truth known to us. Chapter 8, verse 1, we're still in Enoch. And Azazel, a name that's well known, taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony, which is a chemical element, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones, and all coloring tinctures. So there's where makeup came from. And all from there arose much transgression and rebellion and disobedience. And they committed fornication, and they were led astray and became corrupt in all their ways. Then another one taught enchantments and root cuttings, and these names will be in the description. And something else, the resolving of enchantments. Then another one taught astrology, and another one the constellations, and another one the knowledge of the clouds, and another one the signs of the Haaretz, the earth, and another one the signs of the sun, and another one the course of the moon. Now all these are wicked. Okay, they've turned this into wickedness. Because when you read another chapter, or a few chapters in Enoch, it talks about Uriel, one of Yah's messengers, who spoke to Enoch and told him about the moon. I think there was another messenger also that did too. So all of these are considered sons of Yah. They were once maintained by him to do his work. They became mighty ones. They're known as ALAHYMs. That's why we are wrong to call him ALAHYM. He is one. He is not three. He is not more than that. I heard one man who I was studying with to learn the Hebrew language a little bit better. And I asked him about that, and he said, oh, no, that's also looking at his great power. But that's not it. That alayim is plural. So anyways, I don't know a whole lot about Hebrew, but I'm not going to go from what I feel in my heart until Yahuwah tells me differently. But anyways, and in Tahallym chapter 8, it calls them ALAHYMs. All right, chapter 9. And then Michael and Uriel and Raphael and Gabriel, and also too, they have different names. These are the English names that were given them. They looked down from Hashamayim and saw much blood being shed upon Haaretz, and all lawlessness being wrought upon Haaretz. And they said one to another, the earth made without inhabitant cries, the voice of their crying up to the gates of the Shamayim. And now to you, the set apart ones of Hashamayim, the souls of men, make their suit saying, in other words, making their case saying, bring our cause before the Most High. And they said to the Almighty of the ages, Almighty of mighty ones, King of kings and great invincible one of power of the ages, the throne of your greatness stands unto all generations of the ages, and your name set apart and honorable and exalted to all ages. So who are they talking to? They're talking to Yahuwah, right? They're crying out to him. You have made all things, and power over all things is yours, and all things are naked and open in your sight. And you see all things, and nothing can hide itself from you. You see what Hazel, I almost said, I'm glad I messed up. But anyways, that particular the Azel has done, and who has taught all unrighteousness on Haaretz, and revealed the eternal secrets that were preserved in the Shamayim. The men were striving to learn, and another one to whom you have given authority to bear rule over his associates. And they have gone to the daughters of men upon the Haaretz, and have slept with the women, have defiled themselves, and revealed to them all kinds of transgression. And the women have borne giants, and the whole Haaretz has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness. And now, behold, the souls of those who have died are crying and making their case, their suit, to the gates of Hashamayim, and their weeping have ascended and cannot cease because of the lawless deeds that are wrought on Haaretz. And you know all things before they come to pass, and you see all things, and you do tolerate them, and you do not say to us, what are we to do to them in regard to these? So his messengers are crying out to him saying, Father, do you see all this? You know what? Well, they didn't call him Father. I call him Father. But they were like, listen, you are the great one. You are the almighty one. All power is in your hands. And, you know, what are we to do about this? Okay. So I'm reading these verses from Enoch to show you that this backs up what we read in Ephesians 6 about us wrestling not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. There's rulers. This is why things are happening. And, you know, I guess we all know this, that there are certain mighty ones over every city. That's why sometimes you can hear at the end of the year, you know, some publication may make public how certain cities had certain crimes. There's certain mighty ones over certain areas, and they have dominion over those areas. And if there's no set apart one or representative in that area to cry out to Father for assistance, those entities continue to do their wickedness. We are in spiritual warfare. And that's why some places of authority are wicked. Remember, it's not flesh and blood. They're using flesh and blood. We'll find out about that in chapter 15. So now we're in chapter 10. Then said the Most High, the set apart and great one, send Uriel to the son of Lamech, and say to him, go to Noah and tell him, in my name, hide yourself. And even Noah's name is not Noah. And reveal to him the end that is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge is about to come upon the whole earth, and will destroy all that is on it. And now instruct him that he may escape, and his seed may be preserved for all the generations of the world. And again, the Almighty said to Raphael, bind the Azazel, hand and foot, and throw him into the darkness, and make an opening in the desert that is in Duodail, and throw him therein. And you know, in Hazon, it talks about that day is going to come when the pit's going to be open, and he's going to be released. And place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face, that he may not see light. And on that day of the great judgment, he shall be thrown into the fire, and heal the earth that the ALAHYMs have corrupted, and proclaim the healing of the earth, that they may heal the plague, and all the children of men may not perish through all the secret things that the watchers have disclosed and have taught their sons. The whole earth has been corrupted through the works that were taught by Azazel. Charge him with all the transgression. So it's all going to follow him. And to Gabriel said Aluah, proceed against the bastards and the reprobates and the children of fornication, and destroy the children of fornication and the children of the watchers from among men, and cause them to go forth. Send them one against the other, that they may destroy each other in battle. For length of days shall they not have, and no request that they or their fathers make of you shall be granted unto their fathers on their behalf. Okay, and we're going to see that in chapter 15. For they hope to live an eternal life, that they each one of them will live 500 years. And Yahuwah said unto Michael, go bind Semjaza and his associates, who have united themselves with women so as to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanness. And when their sons have slain one another, and they have seen the destruction of the beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations into the valleys of the Herets, till the day of their judgment and of their consummation, till the judgment that is forever and ever is consummated. In those days they shall be led off to the abyss of fire, and to the torment in the prison, where they shall be confined forever. For whosoever shall be condemned and destroyed will from thenceforth be reprobate in the children of watchers, because they have wronged mankind. They wronged mankind. Destroy all wrong from the face of the earth, and let every evil work come to an end, and let the plant of righteousness and truth appear, and it shall prove a consecration. The works of righteousness and truth shall be planted in truth, and joy forevermore. And then shall all the righteous escape, and shall live till they beget thousands of children, and of the days of their youth and of their old age shall live, and they shall be complete in peace. And then shall the whole earth be filled in righteousness, and shall all be planted with trees, and be full of prosperity. And all desirable trees shall be planted on it, and they shall plant vines on it, and the vine they plant shall yield wine in abundance. And as of all seed that is sown therein, each measurement of it shall bear 1,000. So it goes on to talk about the prosperity. And so he's still talking to Noah. And cleanse you the earth from all oppression, and from all unrighteousness, and from all transgressions, and from all evil, and from all the uncleanness that is wrought upon the earth, destroy from off the earth, and all the children of men shall become righteous, and all nations shall offer adoration and shall praise me, and all shall adore me. And the earth shall be cleansed from all defilement, from all transgressions, and from all punishment, and from all torment. I will never again send them upon it from generation to generation forever. But we know that doesn't last long, right? All that goodness that he's talking about. And why? Because there was transgression in the camp of Noah. Chapter 69 of Enoch, or Enoch. And after this judgment they shall terrify and make them to tremble, because they have shown this to those who dwell on the earth. And behold, the names of those ALAHYM, and these are their names. Okay, so this will be listed in the description. And these are the chiefs of their angels, or their ALAHYM, and their names, and their chief ones, of over hundreds, and over 50s, and over 10s. See? And the name of the first, Jequon, that is the one who led astray all the sons of Aluah and brought them down to the earth and led them astray through the daughters of men. And the second name was Asbeel. He imparted to the devout sons of Aluah evil counsel and led them astray, so they defiled their bodies with the daughters of men. And the third name, Gadreel. He it is who showed the children of men all the blows of death, and he led astray Eve. He's the one who led Eve astray. Okay, so his name is spelled Gadreel. It is pronounced like we pronounce God. And I heard a video some time ago that said that this is who they're talking about when they're saying, in God we trust, or one nation under God. They're talking about this one right here, because it's pronounced, even though it's spelled Gadreel, it's pronounced Godreel. And so that is who they're talking about. He is the one who showed the children of men, according to that video, he it is who showed the children of men all the blows of death, and he led astray Eve. And that's what that video was saying. He's the one who led it astray. So I'm sure they got it from the Book of Enoch. And he showed the weapons of death to the sons of men, the shield and the coat of mail and the sword of battle, and all weapons of death to the children of men. And from his hand they have proceeded against those who dwell on the earth from that day and forevermore. The main thing that's important here is that it is pronounced God. He's the one who led Eve astray. He's the one who taught men about death. And that's something to think about. And the fourth name was Penemue. He taught the children of men the bitter and the sweet. He taught them all the secrets of their wisdom, and he instructed mankind in writing with ink and paper, and thereby many transgressed from eternity to eternity and until this day. For men were not created for such a purpose, to give confirmation to their good faith with pen and ink. For men were created exactly like the messengers, to the intent that they should continue pure and righteous, and death that destroys everything could not take hold of them. But through this, their knowledge, they are perishing, and through this power, it is consuming me. Man was created. Remember in Tahallym 8, a little lower than ALAHYM? So death was not supposed to touch us, which is why when Adam and Eve transgressed, that tree of life had a covering, had a protection day and night to protect that tree, so they would not come back and eat from that tree of life, where they live forever in their sinful state, their state of transgression. Okay, then the fifth one was named Kasdeja. This is he who showed the children of men, listen to this, all the wicked smitings of spirits and demons and the smitings of the embryo. So he's the one who taught men how to abort babies in the womb, that it may pass away, and the smitings of the souls, the bites of the serpent, and the smitings that befall throughout the noontide heat, the son of the serpent named Tabba apostrophe et. And this is the task of Kasbeel, the chief of the oath, that he showed to the righteous one when he dwelt high above in esteem, and its name is Biqa. This angel, or mighty one, ALAHYM, requested Michael to show him the hidden name, that he might enunciate it in the oath, so that those might quake before that name and oath, who revealed all that was in secret to the children of men. So he wanted to use the Most High's name in such a way that he can enunciate it in an oath, when he revealed all that was secret to the children of men. Wow. So now, chapter 15. Then addressing me, this is Yahuwah, he spoke and said, "Hear, neither be afraid, O righteous Enoch. You scribe of righteousness, come here and hear my voice. Go, say to the watchers of the Shamayim, who have sent you to petition for them." Because see, they came to Enoch and they said, "Will you please talk to the Most High and ask him if we could be restored to our first estate?" So Yahuwah says, you tell them, you ought to pray for men. You ought to be petitioning for men, and not men for you. Wherefore have you forsaken the lofty and Kodesh Shamayim that endures forever, and you have laid with women. You have defiled yourselves with the daughters of men. You have taken to yourselves wives and have acted like the sons of the Haaretz, and have begotten a wicked offspring. So y'all calls them wicked offspring, which they are, which he doesn't lie. You being spiritual and Kodesh, and possessing a life that is eternal, you've polluted yourselves with women. You have begotten in carnal blood, have lusted in the blood of men, and have done as those who are flesh and blood do. These are humans. However, they die and they perish. And he's telling them, you had eternal life. You were created to be forever. Therefore have I given to them wives. Wherefore have I given unto them wives, that they might cohabitate with them? The sons might be born of them, and that this might be transacted upon Haaretz. But you, from the beginning, were made spiritual, possessing a life that is eternal and not subject to death forever. Therefore, I have not made wives for you, because being spiritual, your dwelling place is in the Shamayim. Now the giants who have been born of spirit and flesh shall be called upon earth evil spirits. So this is where the evil spirits come from that are in the earth today. And on earth shall be their habitation. Evil spirits shall proceed from their flesh, because they were created from above, from the Kodesh watchers was their beginning and primary foundation. Evil spirits shall they be upon the earth, and the spirits of the wicked shall they be called. The habitation of the spirits of Shamayim shall be in Shamayim, but upon Haaretz, the earth, shall be the inhabitants of terrestrial spirits, earthbound spirits, okay, who are born on the earth. The spirits of the giants shall be like clouds that shall oppress, corrupt, fall upon, contend, and bruise upon earth. They shall cause lamentation. No food shall they eat. They shall be thirsty. They shall be concealed. They shall not rise up against the sons of men, against women, for they come forth during the days of slaughter and destruction. So, they're going to be concealed, which means because they're going to be where? Living on the inside of man. They need a body to dwell in, so they're going to be concealed inside men, humans. They said that no food shall they eat, and they shall be thirsty. One day I watched this video of two sisters who were being interviewed, and they were wanting to bring their father to justice. He had 7 daughters, I think 6 or 7 daughters, and he got custody of them all. They had different mothers, and so different situations, he ended up getting custody of them. Well, he was raping them on a regular. It seemed like he never got tired of having sex with his daughters. His current wife knew that he was doing that to at least one daughter. I think she knew about all of them, but she didn't say anything. She did adjust it with him, but some another had such a control over her that she allowed it to continue to happen. These women, these two sisters, they were biological sisters. They both had same mother and father, and they had come to press charges against him. And when they tried to get the other daughters to join them, they said, just leave it alone. That's when we were children. It's always done with. Let's just go on with our lives. So they didn't want to do anything against him. But he would at times bring all of them in the room and have them watch him do whatever he was going to do, whatever the one or two or three, however who he was going to be with. And he would cause them to do that. And so when I read this, I thought that's what that man's problem was, because I remember when I watched the video and the ladies were telling about how he did them, I thought, how could he, how much of a sex appetite could he have? And what type of mindset did he have? So when I read this in Enoch, I said that Yah showed it to me. That's what his problem was. That spirit was thirsty, but never could get full. So being thirsty and hungry for that evilness to be done, he had possessed this man, right? So this is why we have to be watching out for these mighty ones. This man never seemed to get enough. He had all these daughters. And so what I would think would be interested, if someone could go back and see where did this begin for him? Where was he at what age was he when that door was open for that mighty one to get a hold of him? And then from that, other ones, because you'll find that when we read books on this topic, they'll tell us that they don't just work by themselves. That's why they were mighty ones of hundreds, fifties, and tens, because they have other demons underneath them. And so when someone most times is oppressed or possessed by a mighty one, there's other attributes, there's other things going on with them. So it's like a kingpin, right? And then he has other ones working for him. So this is what happens. So they would be hungry, but no food shall they eat, and they shall be thirsty. That man had a thirst. And that's why I don't like that phrase. I don't know if you heard this phrase. It's been out for a few years. They say, oh yeah, he was thirsty. Like, I don't like that. I don't like that phrase at all, because I believe it stems back to this very truth here in Enoch. We have to be very mindful of things we say, people we're at, and things that we find entertaining, because we could be opening the door to some activities that would be really hard to get someone released from, except that we call on the Most High. So in remembering, finally, my brethren, be strong in Yahuwah and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Yahuwah, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the evil one. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Some of these people who are making rules and allowing things to take place, who are they? Who are they bowing down to? Who are they serving? What mighty one are they adoring and obeying and yielding themselves to? For we walk not in the flesh, 2 Corinthians 10. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through Aluah, to the pulling down of strongholds. So we have to cast down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of Aluah, and bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of Yahuwah. So when we start having thoughts and we know they don't line up with the law, with his instructions, we need to cast down those imaginations. In closing, Jude 9, yet Michael the archangel, a very mighty one, was contending with the evil one, disputed about the bodies of Musa. So the evil one wanted to know where the body of Musa was. But Michael dared not bring against him a railing accusation, but said, Yahuwah rebuke you. Then in Zechariah 3, and he showed me Yahshua, the high priest, standing before the messenger of Yahuwah, and the accuser and the adversary standing at his right side to resist him. Remember in the book of Job, the evil one came to Yahuwah, and he accused Job. He did the same thing with Abraham. And so he stands before Father accusing us, standing at the right hand to resist him. And Yahuwah said to him, Yahuwah rebuke you, accuser, the brethren, adversary of all that is of Yahuwah. Even Yahuwah, who has chosen Yerushalayim, rebuke you. So we can say that. It's not about us rebuking him. I remember years ago when I was in this particular sect of Christianity, where we rebuke you, I rebuke you. I. It's not about us. Who are we in our power, in our name? What power? You know, one time it says that a mighty man is not delivered by his forces, his armies. You know, it's not the horse. It's not. It is in Yahuwah. You know, I'm going to have to add that one to one of these audios. It is in Yahuwah that we are valiant and that we are prosperous in our victories over evil. So in the name of Yahuwah, be mindful, brothers and sisters. We got to be mindful. There are mighty ones, and mighty ones are coming through TV programs. Mighty ones are coming through things that people are following that are trending. That's why I've said several times in different audios, be mindful of saying the word, I follow him on these different social media platforms. You don't follow anyone but Yahuwah. That is, if you're his sheep. Okay, so we have to be mindful that there are mighty ones that are out here, the ALAHYMs. Do not call Yahuwah ALAHYM. He is not many. He is one. He's a very powerful one. He is invincible. There is none like him, none to compare to him. None that have the power that he has, the knowledge, the strength, and his sense of being. He is over them all. And you know what? I said when I read Al-Hazon again, I'm going to look at that differently. When he's telling these different messengers to do certain things in the last day, like on the day of his wrath, I'm thinking, because he's over them all, are those mighty ones that are evil already, who already deal in death? Like a couple of times talks about a third. One was given power to take a third of the of men's lives, and just different things, bringing famine and different things. We read in Enoch how they all had different interests and intelligences to be able to teach things to man. So we have to know that these spirits have not gone anywhere. The mighty ones are still here. I plan to praise Yah, to also share the ites that the children of Yashrael met up with and Yah destroyed them. They're still here today too, because they were all mighty ones. So we're told to not have any mighty ones before his face, and not to make unto us any graven images. These are two different things. Idols are not mighty ones. Sometimes the idols are what they call represent these mighty ones, but they are not the mighty ones themselves. They may be representation, which is why we cannot have representation of the Almighty, for no one has seen him. And yet, in religion, what? We have pictures all over the place. Never thinking about, how can anyone know what he looks like? Well, nobody's seen him to be able to make a picture. So, but anyways, that's it for today on this one. Enoch and the mighty ones, they are still here. And when we look at ourselves and some of the things that we do, now this was very interesting. There was one who taught women how to do makeup. There were ones who taught how to do deal with metals and weapons, and one who taught how to abort. So this is where we're at. And so can you think about it? Some of the newer inventions that are here, where are they getting them from? Isn't it amazing to you? Excuse me. How so much can be done with www. Like, how in the world did they able to do that? You know, all that is able to, the, what do they call the GPSs? Like, how? Come on now. They're still here. We don't want to serve mighty ones. So talk to him, the Most High, the Almighty One, the one whose word is final authority. When he speaks, it is done. That's why we want to serve him. We want to be on the winning side. But let's talk to him to get better understanding, knowledge, comprehension on how to survive these mighty ones from taking us over. And we find ourselves yielding ourselves to them, which we're yielding every day. But now that we're learning more about it, we can be more astute. We can say, wait a minute. Okay, I know what's going on here. And rebuke it in Yahuwah's name. Tell him Yahuwah rebukes you because he stands up for me and he's fighting for me. I refuse to continue on this way. I see you, I recognize you, and you're not of Yahuwah. These mighty ones are still here. You shall have no other mighty ones before me, and you shall not make unto you any graven image. Remember, we do not wrestle against flesh and blood. But when we put on the whole armor of Aluah, we'll be able to stand against the wiles of the evil one. Our warfare is against principalities and powers, against rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So these mighty ones do have power. It's limited, but the power is real. We have to decide on our allegiance. As Joshua said, as for me and my house, we will serve Yahuwah. So until next time, brothers and sisters, I hope this wasn't a whole lot too much, but enough for you to pick up the Book of Enoch. And then think about, there's another, some of those battles that they had. Look at it as more spiritual, as much as we see it as flesh and blood war fighting. Because each one of those nations that they came against had a mighty one that they served. And that is what is going on today. He said in Matthew 24, there's going to be kingdom against kingdom and nation against nations. We can look at that spiritually also. In the book of Hazon, he talks about in the last days going to be the dragon, and and in Daniel talking about different animals. Each one of those countries that are represented, they have a mighty one. And each one of our families have mighty ones. Many families have more than one. We are not obligated because somebody, it has what is that saying? I told y'all about that saying. They like to say, blood is thicker than water, when the true saying is the covenant of the blood is thicker than the water of the womb. Don't be aligning with people because they're relatives when they're not of the same spirit. How can two walk together if they agree? What fellowship does light have with darkness? And Yahushua said that he did not come to bring peace upon the earth, but variance. Mothers against daughters, mothers and daughter-in-laws against each other, fathers and sons against each other. It's going to happen, and we better know it because it can set us up for deception and fall. Evil spirits are here. Mighty ones are here. And we've got to wake up and we've got to know it. And we got to know when we're starting to bow down. Adam and Eve had their different degree of wrongness, wickedness, and their choice to do what they did. But one choice they both did was they chose to bow down to a mighty one instead of aligning themselves with the Almighty. Let's be encouraged, brothers and sisters, in the fact that we know that Father is true. He's totally committed to commandment keepers, those who abide by his laws and trust him and look to his book of instructions for guidance. Be encouraged, brothers and sisters. And remember that the warfare is mighty, but we are mighty in Yahuwah. And it's he that fights our battles, and it's through him that we are valiant in battle. He said he'll fight for us, He also told Musa to tell the children of Yashrael when they saw the Egyptians coming after them, he said, tell that the enemies they see today, they will see never no more. And that's how we can be about things in our lives we've been trying to get free of. Never no more in the name of Yahuwah. Will we see them and we will walk in victory. We will overcome. For we are more than overcomers through him who has already paralyzed the world, this world system against us. We have to know who we are in him. We have to remind ourselves we need to be with people who are also saying the same thing, talking the same thing, becoming one, getting on his frequency, his thinking pattern, his ways, his thoughts. Mighty ones are real, and they are here in the earth. And a lot of us are struggling with getting free. They're parasites, and they look for a host to dwell in and to work through. Be courageous. Stay in the state of courage and be encouraged. Encourage one another. I love you and Yahuwah, brothers and sisters. And let's fight this fight. The warfare is not carnal. It's not flesh and blood. And that's why when he told us, he told his taught was the Talmudim that they were being sent out in the midst of wolves, but they would be as wise as serpents and as harmless as doves. When we allow him to lead us, we are there, mighty through him. Look at the Maccabees, mighty. Look at David's mighty men, mighty. And we are mighty. Daniel said that they who know their Aluah shall be strong and do great exploits, even though, oh my goodness, the trampling down of Yah's people is going to be taking place at a certain in these last days. But yet with all that, they who know him shall be strong. They shall be mighty and do great exploits. I love you, brothers and sisters. And let's carry on in the name of Yahuwah. He's looking for a nation. He wants to be king over a nation of people who look like him, talk his language, and abide with him and fight with him. All praises be to the Most High Yah. All praises be to him. We're on the winning side when we side with Yahuwah. Mighty ones exist, but we exist on the side of the Almighty One, the Eternal One, that Ancient of Days. Let's make our choice. Every day we're making choices. If we're going to follow him or follow our flesh. And our flesh is being led by mighty ones when we're not lining up with his word, his truth, his ways. Baruch are all those who revere Yahuwah and walk in his ways. Shalom. Salama. Shalom.